So we saw, today is the 20th of Tammuz, the 16th of July. We saw until now 3 different parables for understanding the relationship between Atzmut and Kelim, between Hashem's essence and the instruments he uses, which are the Sfirot. The first one we saw was a tool, like an axe. And each one of the parables has pluses and minuses. So the plus in the parable of the axe is that you know that the power of the axe is not its own. You know that it can't act by itself. You've never seen an axe raise itself and hit the tree. So you know that there has to be an agent behind it. And that agency is always Hashem. So that's a positive side to that parable. But there was also a negative side to that parable. And what's the negative side? So the negative side was that the axe is completely, what shall we call it? It's inanimate. There's something lacking in it, which causes it to not be something that you can draw many things coming out of it. You can't imagine so many things coming. It just chops. Maybe you can use it as a hammer, but its inanimacy causes it to be very unflexible.
To be
limited, unflexible, can't do anything. So then we had another parable along the same lines, and we said it's like fire. But there the problem is that the fire seems to have agency. The fire seems it's one of those Arba Avot Nezikin, the 4.
You mean it moves, it goes?
It moves by itself. And it seems to have
its own agency.
Its own life. Yeah. But the positive side of that is that it can create many, many effects. One thing it affects this way, another thing it affects that way. The axe affects everything the same way. It's not like you can do 2 different things with it. So that's a plus, that's a minus. Then we had, based on the idea of the axe, we had from the Rekanati, we had this idea. It turns out there's actually 5, but okay, I sort of put all the tools together. But in any case, the third one was that the Rekanati proposed that this is like a king who has servants, and one servant, he tells them, when you see somebody who does something good, reward him, and when you see someone who sees something negative,
like malachim, so to speak.
Kings, yeah, a king.
Oh, but the servants are like
malachim, yeah, like angels.
Okay.
So yeah, but there we said the problem was that they have their own agency, and entirely, they're even more than the fire. And so then it turns out that Azav Hashem et haaretz, it says Hashem they have free choice even.
They don't have free choice.
They do. The people have free choice. You said it, but doesn't mean he doesn't have free choice. There's consequences, but there's consequences in spirit choice. But angels have a degree of agency, of course. So this is not so good because it seems like Hashem is not the one acting.
That they have the agency.
They're the ones who are acting, and so even the Ramak already said. I'm quoting the Rekanati because we know that he's God-fearing and we know that he's whole in his faith, but he wasn't able to express what he wanted. So what did he want? So the next one he gave us was the one that appears in Chassidus. This is already a much more complex one. The soul and the body. That the relationship between the soul and the body is such that you see something even more complex than the fire. That the soul does not have in it, as it were, a power of sight, power of walking. It doesn't have these abilities. But when it comes in contact with the body, when it is enclosed in the body, it seems that the body, through its different organs, is bringing out those abilities in the soul. But
Symbiotic.
They're symbiotic, they're connected. One draws out from the other. The body draws out from the soul all kinds of abilities. That's different.
The eyes are neutral and the soul is the one that perceives.
The eyes are not neutral. The eyes are meant to see.
Yes,
but they're drawing out that energy.
They see, but how it's conceived or how it's brought in to one's person is not through the eyes. The eyes are am I going in the right direction?
It could be that you're right, but what we're trying to focus on
that's from
is that the soul doesn't seem to have any of these qualities before it comes in contact with the body. And so that's what we discussed yesterday when no one was here. I spoke to my son.
Definitely part of the brain.
Yeah, okay, said it, but they're a specific part. But they're a specific
There's
part.
a thinking part.
Yeah, but they're specific. They're specific to this task. Nowhere else in the brain can see. It's just those organs.
It's not even clear that it's the brain seeing it, maybe something even above the brain.
Right. It could be that it's actually something in the soul that has, and the brain is again just pulling that out,
Oh, I see what you're
drawing out that ability. Now, why is this a very strong and powerful mashal? Because it leaves us with the sense that the soul is simple, and like God is simple, in the sense that He doesn't, even though He has all these powers, but you can't find them in Him. That's what we call pshitut. Pshitut.
Simpleness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so- Really, pashut means like litpashet. It means that it's not enclosed. When it's not enclosed, it's the same word. So when it's not enclosed, it's simple. So I was saying something about yesterday. We were talking about this. I don't remember what I wanted to say. That's something else. So this is a very powerful one, and this is the first one that you can already say is human. Human in the sense that it's not just like an axe. An axe is an extension of our ability to cut or do things with our hands, but here human in the sense of psychological, that we have an inner understanding of what this means. I don't have an inner understanding of an axe exactly, but I have a very strong inner understanding of what it means to have a soul and to have a body and the interrelationship between them. Even though I don't understand it fully, but I have some intimate knowledge of this. And so this is called our psychological example. Then we have the fifth example. The fifth parable here was that you pour water into a glass cup, and that cup is colored. It's glass that is colored. It's not completely transparent. So that already gives something even more, that the water has not changed. That's where we're aiming. That's what we're aiming for here. That there's no change in Hashem when He operates through the sfirot. He remains the same. The water is the same. It's not the water here is not Hashem. The water here is His light, is His revelation. The water here is the Or Ein Sof. It's the infinite revelation of Hashem. It's not Hashem Himself. But it goes into the water, and now it seems like into the cup, and now it looks like the cup has in it colored water, where really it's just the cup that's colored, and the water remains the
brought
same.
this up several times before.
Right.
So in other words,
So
you're
this
talking
is-
about it like it's a filter, correct?
It's like a
The
filter.
cup.
Okay.
The colored cup.
Right. So it's changing the appearance, but not changing the water
Yes.
itself. The
Yes.
water remains exactly the same when you take it out. Okay. So each one of these parables has pluses and minuses. What's the minus about this one, about the color? That it's just seeing something. There's no action happening. There's absolutely nothing happening. It's just the water seems like this or seems like that. And when we talk about the sfirot, we want to talk about changes in the world. We want to talk about an effect, something actually happening. Nothing here is happening, nothing at all. You don't get from the water going into the cup, you don't get a feeling of heat or coldness, or there's no agency there. Nothing's going on, nothing's happening.
So fire is perhaps the best.
So fire in the end is very strong, but again, the strongest one in Chassidus is considered to be the soul and the body. That's
so
considered to be the
abstract.
strong, because there is the most action there, the most agency, and supposedly the least change. But yesterday when we were talking about this, so my son mentioned that we know, and he says this in the Tanya, that the soul is affected by the body. It does have. It feels what's going on in the body. It's not like something it's not just a generator that's giving energy and that's it. It's a two-way street. So how does that connect with the fact that Hashem doesn't change? Because this is not Hashem. The soul is not meant to be Hashem. So there's two parts to it. One part of the soul really doesn't change. It remains the same always. That's the part that's not invested in the body. That's what we call the Chaya Yichida, the two higher parts of the soul. That they are not affected by the body. The three lower parts, they are invested in the body, and they're different. They do change, and they have a role. Their role is to change, is to be affected by what is going on. So anyway, what we see is that none of these are perfect. None of these capture the whole picture, but each one captures a little bit of it. And so you have this, so really if we would want, we would have to take these 5 and then correspond them to the 4 letters of Hashem's name and with the tip of the Yud, or maybe to Chesed through Hod. I didn't have time to think about it, see how it would work, but what I did want to stress is that this is something that you find a lot in Chassidus, that you need a number of parables in order to grasp a spiritual concept. You can't use just one. And actually, this is what we call Chassidic meditation. Chassidic meditation or contemplation is being able to bring as many examples as you can, as many parables as you can, and mastering them, each one for what it has and what it doesn't. And that process in putting them together is really the object of Chassidic contemplation. That's really what happens. What's left from this is that the Rebbe Rashab used to say that in every spiritual concept that you want to understand in Torah, you have to have at least 2 parables. One scientific, meaning natural, and one psychological. You have to have at least 2. If you don't have 2, then there's no triangulation. Then you really don't know what you're talking about. You have to find at least 2 parables. Okay.
When you say soul,
Soul.
what do you mean when you say soul? You mean the
Who
nefesh
knows? No. Neshama.
elokis? Where's the nefesh elokis?
Very good question.
Because the nefesh elokis is the thing that's giving the direction, that's telling the person what's the right, what's the wrong. So where's the neshama? You said the neshama doesn't have any power. There must be there's some missing in that link.
The whole relationship between the 5 levels of the soul, nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yichida, and the divine soul or the animal soul, is a poorly explained concept. The relationship between these 2 concepts is poorly explained. It's not very easy to figure it out.
Isn't it so that the Nefesh Bahamit also has them?
Right, it also has 5 levels. Yeah. That's why the whole thing is poorly understood. It's not explained. So one way of saying it is, like what Gabi just said, is that these 5 levels, they're generic. They exist in any spiritual thing, not just in the soul. Any spiritual thing you can analyze according to anything spiritual connected to man. But I've never seen that written anywhere. I don't know if that's true. Could very well be that model is true of anything in the soul. There's what the Rambam says. Rambam, when he started out studying the soul, he said a very interesting concept. He said in the end there's many forces, powers in the soul, but the soul is one. And he liked that because that explained why Hashem is one. The soul is one, like Hashem is one, which is what the sages say in their famous parable, that just as the soul fills the body, God fills the world. But they want to say there's just one. So then, what does it mean that you have all these forces? All these forces are brought out by the body. They're not something in the soul itself. So we would say the same thing about these 5 levels. We would say nefesh, ruach, neshama, the lower 3, they are brought out of the soul by the body because they're invested in the body. Then the chaya yichida are also brought out of the body, but because they surround the body, as it were. They don't invest themselves. They don't enclose themselves within. So the body is creating all these 5 levels. In fact, the Rebbe many times adds a 6th level. What's the 6th level? The 6th level is etzem anshama. Is the soul itself. How does he explain it? He says that the sages said it has 5 names. The soul has 5 names. Nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yichida. So what's the it? The it, which has 5 names, that's the etzem anshama. And that is completely unified.
It's not the Yechida?
No, it's not, it's it. It itself. The thing in and of itself. Dasein. Yeah, something like that. And then there's the word itself. And there's the word, all the levels, 4 levels of Gematria, 5 levels of Gematria, how many ever you want. And then there's the word itself. There's the word. So we're on page 100.
Yeah, it doesn't help me.
Okay. כן, ואמר עוד שגם השינוי הזה, גם שאינו אמיתי, אינו אלא בעצמות המתפשט בכלים, אבל מהותו ועצמותו יתברך ממש, אין בו אפילו שינוי הזה, אלא הוא לבדו כמו שהוא קודם בריאת העולם. אוקיי. In any case, וזהו שלמות האמונה שנאמין היות כל הפעולות השונים באים ממנו דווקא בהשגחה פרטית, לכל נברא בפרט על ידי ידיעתו בו כנעל. The summary of everything is that we believe that all the different actions come from Hashem himself with personal divine providence for each creation individually by what he knows from his knowledge.